Hey, everyone. We wanted to give you a heads up. There is a trigger warning. At the tail end of this episode, a sexual assault occurs between two of the OC characters. We want to be sensitive to the subject matter, so if you want to skip forward in time, please check our show notes for when to skip to. Help is always available for anyone struggling with the trauma of sexual assault. RAIN is the nation's largest anti sexual violence organization and it offers help to survivors. If you need to speak to someone, you can call their hotline at 1 800 656 HOPE.
Welcome to the OC Bitches.
Welcome to the OC Bitches. How's it going? Hi, Rachel.
Hi. How's Puerto Rico, Mindy?
I'm still here. This is my last day. To be honest, actually, it's really hard to shoot right now. I'm doing an episode of Fantasy Island in Puerto Rico, and we've been inundated, the poor production, with people getting COVID, and the schedule keeps changing. And that's why I'm still here and not in the studio with you all.
Oh.
But I'm coming home tomorrow.
Yay. Well, we can't wait to have you back.
Me too.
yeah.
I'm really, really sad to miss today. But I'm here in spirit.
You are. And on the screen.
Yay!
And in our ears.
That too.
Well, today we're going over season 2, episode 21, The Return of Nana. Is it The Return of the Nana? Return of the Nana. Return of the Nana. I always know because Schwartz always refers to it as the Nana. Anyway.
Right.
Today's episode, Sandy, Seth, and Ryan travel to Miami, Florida to visit Sandy's mother, the Nana. After she tells Sandy she is engaged to a much younger man back in Newport, Marissa helps Trey find work, and Trey misinterprets Marissa's friendly gestures as a sexual advance. Zach invites Summer over for an Italian-themed dinner, and Kirsten, unable to go to Miami with Sandy, is left on her own to deal with her feelings for Carter.
Directed by Ian Toynton, written by Josh Schwartz, and the original air date was May 5th, 2005. Now, I got to say, this is actually one of the more memorable episodes for me, just as a viewer, because Julie Cooper wasn't even there. But I had so much fun rewatching this episode in detail. So did you have the same reaction?
I
Rachel?
did. And you know what's funny is I wasn't in Miami as Summer, but I was in Miami as myself because I made sure I got there just like I did with Vegas. Although Schwartz couldn't find a way to put Summer in Miami, so I found a way to put myself. It was really fun to watch again. I remember being there and just hanging out. It was pretty cool.
Okay. Well, then let's get into the episode and any memories that jog. And then I have some memories from our editor, Matt, too. So let's
Matt
get into
Ramsey. Oh, good. Okay.
Matt Ramsey.
So it opens in the Cohen kitchen, per usual.
Oh my gosh. I thought it was so funny because here you have Seth bemoaning the fact that I don't believe it. Ryan Bright Eyes has 2 albums in the top 10. And Ryan goes, are you okay with that? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. It's just, I guess everyone's caught up to me. Like just so full of ego. And then I thought, okay, this is Josh Schwartz written all over it.
Yes. And Brody also, I would say. A combo of the two, for sure.
It's like they're patting themselves on the back. Like, yeah I knew them before when.
Yep. And then so they get a call from the Nana and she wants to speak to Sandy and she reveals, well, the Nana is heading to the altar. And so they all are going to Miami. Well, we think they all.
Right.
But they're not.
Well, I thought it was funny when, so the phone rings, Seth answers, and she gives him some shit about not cashing that $20 check. And then he tries to hand her off to Kirsten. And it's like, oh, no, not the scary Nana.
Yep.
But then while Sandy's talking to her, the audience gets to know that, yes, last time we saw her, she only had 6 months to live, and now she's in a full remission. So that's good news. And yes, now they're off to, she's getting hitched.
Yep.
Now, but of course, Sandy's eyes go wide like, oh shit, we got to get to Miami.
Yep.
I got to see what's going on.
Right. So they think they're all going, but it turns out Kirsten can't go. Ryan doesn't want to go, but Seth convinces him.
He says to do it for Sandy, which is actually kind of like the part that's pretty vulnerable when it comes to Ryan. He's like, anything for Sandy.
Right.
Yes.
Right. He did save his ass.
When they go into the bedroom and he's like, I need my miles. And she's like, what's the hurry? Like, what's going on with you? And he's like, look, I love my mother, but who else would?
Right.
I mean, it's my favorite Sandy line of the whole thing because it's like,
he's not wrong.
there's something, there's got to be something not on the up and up here, right?
Right. So we get to Summer's bedroom in this episode. Now,
Dun, 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 dun.
That's
dun,
right.
Dun, dun.
Eye of the Tiger
Okay.
comes on in. And Summer not only is like dressed to the nines for boxing, if that's a thing, also with mouth guard. Very important.
Why is that?
When you're punching a punching bag, definitely have a mouth guard in. I mean,
well, I think she just wants the absolute full real because I don't think you actually put the mouth guard in unless you're actually receiving blows from somebody else.
Right.
And maybe it's just in case her punch is so powerful that that bag's going to pop her back in the face.
I'd like to
and
think
she's
so.
protecting those pretty teeth. Yeah.
Right. I'd like to think so.
But you have a good punch.
I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming someone showed me because definitely not something I can do on my own. But
they may have added some impact sound on that bag.
Oh, for sure.
But maybe it was all you.
It's hard. Boxing's hard. It takes a lot of strength. But yeah, she's still pissed at Seth about the Silver Lake party. And he, wants him to forgive her. But then they decide to take a timeout. And he's like, I'm going to Miami. And she's like, oh, cool. Spring break in Miami. Even though he says he's going to see the Nana.
Right. He says, I'm going to see the Nana. But I just feel like, he's going to see the Nana, but she instantly assumes it's spring break craziness. But you know what? He does get himself into situations, and she's right. Like she knows that, he's off to do this because he did this stuff in Vegas. So why not? Even though it sounds like she's sounding like a jealous girl, it's actually, I think she's just telling the truth.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then Ryan goes to break the news to Marissa, and she looks amazing. He's even like, whoa, she looks very beautiful.
Well, that's exactly what I wrote because, he's, because at first he said, I don't want to go because I'm just starting off things again with Marissa. And of course he gets convinced to go, but then he opens that door and she looks, wow, that top was amazing. And Ben's eyes are like, wow, I think that was kind of a real moment.
But he doesn't, he's worried about leaving Trey. So Marissa, of course, volunteers to check on him and help him find a job and all of that stuff.
She's like, I got you. Anything for you.
Anything for you.
She's the opposite. Yeah, she's the opposite response that Summer has. She's like, okay, go have fun. She's nothing. Opposite. She's not jealous.
She's not punching bags. Then we're back at the Cohen house and Sandy's going over the checklist with Kirsten. It was very funny because his password for the alarm is grease lightning. Now, obviously, this was a little personal plug because Peter was Danny Zuko on Broadway. Right? So I thought that was a funny little thing they threw in there.
And why do you think that he's so uptight, as if Kirsten's never taken care of the house before? But this is just his, obviously inside he's got some fears about his mother. But yeah, as soon as they close the door, what does Kirsten do? She calls Carter.
Yep.
What the hell?
Well,
you know what? This brought up a memory for me watching, because the stage of the Cohen house, it's on a stage. And it's very close to these big, huge stage doors. And that's where they would back in the cars. But if you ever had to actually start a car, get into it and leave, it was suffocating with carbon monoxide. There were moments where it was like...
That's a good point,
all I could think was, do you remember when we'd have to start these real combustible engines on the stage? And it was like...
quite stinky.
They had to open up the doors because I don't think it's legal to have the doors closed when it's like that.
Right.
Anyway, that's what I remembered.
So now we're in Miami. We're at Miami Beach. And of course, Will Smith's Welcome to Miami is playing.
What other
song?
Miami.
Right.
What does Sandy say? In the immortal words of Will Smith, welcome to Miami. He has to point it out and the song's playing. I think it's pretty obvious. So it's kind of redundant.
Yeah, in case you don't know. Sandy lets you know.
Right.
And Seth is instantly an old Jewish man. I mean, it's so funny. I just love when he's like calling out like Stu and whatever, all the old men names. And
well, yeah, when he gets out of the cab, we saw him in Orange County, and then all of a sudden he gets out of the cab and he's instantly he takes on the mannerisms of like, and he hasn't even seen his old buddies yet.
Right. And I think Brody himself also was very fond of being an old man. I think he had an affinity for the grandpas out there.
Matt Ramsey, I was so impressed with the editing on this episode, and I'll point out the scenes, or we'll point out the scenes that really made an impact. But he knew this episode without even going back and looking at it. But he did say that when he saw that it was Welcome to Miami, he went, "Ooh, I bet Alex wasn't happy about us using it twice, because whenever they'd pick expensive songs, the editors would pick them, that the budget was a little more stretched."
Right. Yeah, that was probably an expensive song.
He pointed out that songs like the Bob Seger songs or the 80s songs or anything that was super, super well known always had a little bit of a higher price tag.
Yes, for sure. So we're in Miami, and just to let everybody know, I wasn't in the part of Miami, but I did get myself there by agreeing to promote a nightclub in Miami. So it got me there, and at the time, Josh's girlfriend, who was my best friend, we were just, up in the suite, ordering room service, having the best time while everyone was working. Adam was working long hours. Josh was working long hours. But we were like ordering room service, and I was going to promote a nightclub. At one point, Josh said while they were shooting, an airplane was going on overhead and affecting the noise, the sound for the scene. And they looked up, and it had a big banner saying Rachel Bilson at whatever nightclub it was tonight. Or I was the one disrupting production, which I think is pretty funny. And I think he's mentioned before. But that's how I got myself to Miami, made sure, and I had a great time at the Fontainebleau. Before it was remodeled, it's an old classic hotel in Miami.
Can I ask, because I've never been hired to promote anything, nor would I ever, but how does that work? You are compensated for showing up to a club, and therefore fans or just people show up, right?
Yeah, I think that they advertise it that somebody will be at a certain place on a certain night, and you just pay to get into the club, I think. It's really weird. Josh said he told me that it was really big crowds for the nightclub, and I was very flattered. I said, "That's amazing. People actually came out to see me." That was a long time ago. It just goes to show you, man. That were the heydays.
I can only imagine how busy it was, because they were shooting on the streets, and as we come up here on the next scene,
taking over Miami. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
I can imagine that it was quite a scene. But we won't ignore what's going back in the OC, because Kirsten, all excited, she runs into the Newport group, and she's like, "Oh, I have the whole weekend off. Maybe we could." It's like the most excited we've seen Kirsten in a long time, which we also all know that that's a lot of trouble. But Carter's there to say, I just want to let you know, well, I got offered a job in New York and leaving Monday. And all I could think is, of course he's jumping ship, but she says, "Oh, that's wonderful. That's great." And she is constantly saying stuff that she doesn't mean.
Right.
Because she's devastated here. So, but then she invites him over for a farewell dinner.
Of course. As she
to
should.
her house. Of course. And what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Speaking of what could go wrong, we're now at Trey's apartment, where Marissa shows up to tell him that she's going to help him find a job. He's also naked when he answers the door, wearing just a sheet, just to paint a picture. But Marissa is so kind, isn't she? Just offering, "I'm going to help you find a job." She really is the sweetest person ever. Best girlfriend ever.
Right. Just comes on by. She's like, "Hey." And as she leaves, waves goodbye from her convertible. And Trey, still holding onto the sheet, covering his nether region, looks out the window, and up behind him comes Jess, who is Nikki Griffin, by the way. I don't know if we ever mentioned Nikki Griffin, and we'd love to talk to her when she has time, by the way. Anybody asking if we have reached out to her. But she comes up, looks at him, and says, "Marissa Cooper? Yeah. In what world?
Right.
Never."
Right.
And he says, "It's not like that." But is he flattered? Does he have an inkling wow, that was so sweet? He's, I think he takes it for what it is, kindness, but it makes him like her a little bit more, I think.
I think so too. Absolutely.
Yeah. And maybe he's getting the wrong message. Who knows?
Who knows? back in Miami Beach. Will Smith, Miami, plays again over a montage of South Beach and a Miami Vice tribute.
And the young life that is, this is Matt Ramsey again doing this amazing edit that took some very iconic scenes from that opener of Miami Vice, one of my favorite shows of all time, and then slams right into the old people home.
Which is great. By the way, that's where I'd want to be. I'd want to be the old people home, hanging out with all the grandparents, playing shuffleboard. I mean, listening to stories. That is my version of Miami that I would enjoy. Just putting it out there.
This is one of the best scenes. And Seth is over the moon. And he gets to see all of his old friends. And those sunglasses.
Oh my God.
Mom wears those sunglasses.
Honestly, I want a pair. I'm not even kidding. I really would like a pair of those sunglasses. I'm going to rock them.
How funny was Sandy and Ryan going? He was like, he has more friends here than he has in Newport.
Yeah, I know. This is like definitely where Seth belongs.
Rachel, I work out every day, or at least I try to. And some days I go super hard. Like when I'm here in Puerto Rico, I actually clocked in about 3 hours the other day because I ate some pancakes for my birthday. And when I do that, actually, I make sure that I start and end the day with Liquid IV. And I love it because one stick of Liquid IV hydration in 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone.
You know what? I actually love the flavor options. I'm a huge pina colada fan, and the fact that Liquid IV has this flavor just makes it even more tempting to drink as much as possible. And the best part is one stick of Liquid IV contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C.
Grab Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code OC at checkout.
That's 25% off anything you order when you use promo code OC at liquidiv.com.
Experience better hydration today at liquidiv.com, promo code OC.
I've noticed my morning routine can really make or break how my day is going to play out. Whether I'm hitting the gym or hitting the snooze button, I make sure I'm going to have my best day every day by starting with Bloom. I love Bloom greens. I am getting everything I need first thing in the morning, which starts my day on the right foot. I am ready, energized, and I feel good about it.
Bloom greens are packed with over 50 nutrients, including whole fruits and veggies, fiber, probiotics, antioxidants, and more. Mix it in with water or smoothie to add to your daily routine. It comes in 4 delicious flavors: coconut, mixed berry, citrus, and original. My favorite is original. I've been adding it to my morning routine and my protein shakes. It's delicious and a perfect addition to my day.
And right now, Bloom Nutrition is offering our listeners 15% off your purchase of their greens and superfoods blend when you go to bloomnu.com/OC.
That's BLOOMNU.com/OC for 15% off your purchase.
Go to bloomnu.com/OC for 15% off.
We finally see that. So the Nana shows up and he says, "You remember Ryan?" She's like, "Oh, yeah." She flirts with him.
Yeah.
You know, who can forget those arms? And then they take off. But I wanted to look this up. I wanted to see these actors because I thought I recognized them. And there was Burt Greenberg, Alan Reed, and Sid Raymond playing Abe, Stanley, and Stu. But Sid Raymond was a veteran of 188 credits. That's a huge, huge career. And this was his last appearance before his death in 2006.
I just got chills.
So I thought that was, yeah.
Josh told me that he definitely played shuffleboard at his own Nana's condo. So I think that's where the shuffleboard came from. And if I had to guess, he probably wasn't very good. He's just, his athleticism is not his strong suit. But I love it. I just love the whole storyline. And, Josh always plays up the stuff with the Nana because of his own. And you can feel it a lot in this episode.
So he calls his Nana the Nana?
Yeah, the Nana. The Nana.
Yeah. Okay.
And in this next scene in the Nana's apartment, they're having lunch discussing her new fiance. And of course, they're having pastrami on rye.
Right.
And I just love that little add-in that you see in the scene.
Yeah, the detail. I mean, it was so funny when she's explaining who her fiance is 12 years younger and they want to move to Sarasota where the condo Sandy bought her is. And of course, and then she says he's a chiropractor. And if looks could fucking kill, Sandy gives that side look. And it's like, what is it about chiropractors that they're not real doctors, or
Yeah,
they have
what
this
is it?
stereotype that they're like slippery, sleazy or something? But
Are they
I don't know.
sleazy? Are chiropractors known as like sleazy?
I don't know, but it's but for some reason the word chiropractor just sends him into like a totally different Sandy. Like he doesn't usually give that. You know what? That was a Julie Cooper look.
It
Oh my
was a
God.
Julie Cooper look. Good call. Well, we're back in Summer's bedroom and she is boxing again.
Again. See,
Again.
you're doing the 3-hour workout too. You're in a blade.
I'm in a
or
rage blackout boxing. That's true. But this time someone comes through the door, but instead of looking, she just clocks him, and poor Zach takes a whammy to the chin, face.
I gotta say, you guys sold that.
I really did hit him. That's why I socked him.
Oh, you did?
No.
I was gonna say he sold it or you sold it, but so it looked like there was a definite connect.
It was probably him, if I had to guess. I was probably scared.
But he says like, how are you? And she's like, well, I'm in French braids and I'm looking like this. How do you think I am?
Yeah, that was funny.
But he takes the opportunity. Yeah, takes the opportunity to do what?
To make her dinner, invites her over for dinner by himself. His family's out of town. How convenient for Italian.
That he learned from Francesca.
Yes.
Which is kind of a cute inside joke between them.
Yep.
I mean, he's taking full advantage. He does have that Cheshire grin, and he really is so handsome.
Yes, he is. He's a good-looking lad, that little Cassidy. Back in Miami, Seth is playing shuffleboard and beating his buddies. He is so excited.
Yeah, Matt Ramsey said that the victory lap, he specifically remembered that the victory lap was improv, of course. Seth doing the,
Oh, yeah. It reminded me his first, like, run. It was equivalent to, like, the Phoebe run from Friends. I don't know if you know it, but Brody, how he, like, runs off. He, like, lengths off. It's pretty funny. Yes.
But this is one of the things that my note was, this is what I think is so refreshing about the OC. These scenes that were just from a different perspective, like Josh's, perspective of hanging out with his Nana and Nana's friends.
Right.
And I thought it was just a sweet, fun storyline.
Really sweet.
Because the fun is over soon. So enjoy it while we can, right?
Yeah. And this is where we are interrupted by our beautiful guest star, Jaime King, who is Mary Sue visiting her grandma, Mary Ellen. And
she's so innocent.
And a little proper Southern girl.
Yeah, she's cute. And this is when Jaime was just beginning to act. She had a few things under her belt, and
she has a Southern accent. And I did a show, Hart of Dixie, with her, and she plays Lemon Breland on the show, and she has an accent. And I heard Lemon like a few times. I was like, "There's Lemon," because she has the accent in this too. I was like, "Girl can do a Southern accent."
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, cute. We go to the bait shop, and congrats, Trey got Seth's old job cleaning toilets. And then Marissa gives him this big old hug, which is innocent on her part, but for some reason I thought,
yeah. A little odd.
Yeah, they decide to celebrate. And they're going to do some guacamole and margaritas at Trey's apartment. And all I could think is, he's starting to get the wrong idea. He just likes that,
I don't totally blame him either. I mean.
Well, I don't, you know what, let me take it back. Maybe he's just, there's a genuine like going on in appreciativeness that he doesn't get a lot of this kindness that he's been receiving from the Coens, from Marissa, and all of that. So I think it's new, and maybe I'm jumping ahead to that it's all wrong. He can reciprocate and be grateful for the kindness of Marissa, right?
Right. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard not to feel certain ways towards Marissa because she is so kind and beautiful and has that side that just draws you in. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. No, like we can never forget that she is the most written as one of the most beautiful women or girls ever. And she's so beautiful. She's almost embarrassed by it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So.
So Mary Sue is showing off her shuffleboard skills, and she actually beats Seth. I love this. I love that she beats him, and he can't even believe it. But then she brings up that she needs a partner in a dance contest to win money to help her grandma out, basically, because Music Video Nation, which is basically our riff on MTV, has their spring break going on in Miami. And it's a competition. She asks Seth to help her, and she'll win $5,000.
Well, yeah, because Seth loses.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, unless you want to go again. And if he's so competitive, he's like, well, yeah. She's like, well, but then here's the wager. You got to help me with this contest. And because he's so competitive, he doesn't even think about that. So yes, it's on. They're going to go.
They're going to go.
So what happens? We don't see what happens. All we do is cut to this massive spring break in full swing MTV style show, and hosted by, you've got Swerve, the VJ, and then you've got one of the stars of Sherman Oaks, the Rio Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And who's our Swerve?
Swerve, also known as Big Funny Guy, also known as Brett Harrison, one of all of our best friends, Josh's best friend, Brody's best friend, who was Big Funny Guy, makes a return as Swerve. You would never know.
I know. He's so cute.
He's so funny. Brett is so funny in this, playing the VJ. And
bananas.
Yeah, bananas on bananas on.
Was that
whatever.
good?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was so good. And maybe that was a way to get Brett to Miami too, to hang out.
Right. So yeah, I mean, at this point, didn't Adam and Brett, they lived together when the show started. And,
yes.
Yeah. So this is like they're like real best friends.
Oh no, it was Brody's best friend. Absolutely. Brett.
And I as throughout the whole thing, I just kept laughing at him because there's a close up on him, and you can see he's got a stippled on beard. It's not real.
Oh really?
Right?
That is so funny. Yep.
But Brett is so funny.
He really sold it.
Okay.
But I remember Spring Break on MTV being such a huge thing. I mean, I guess then, it's been a while now, but it was huge. Spring Break, MTV Spring Break. So this is equivalent. And I mean, I'd be flipping out if my boyfriend was there. So I understand Summer being like, just saying.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just saying.
And then, of course, T.I. comes out to
bring
sing,
him out, bring him out.
Yeah, which is actually that's a pretty big get, isn't it, for the show?
I think at the time, for sure, T.I. was really, that was a huge song,
Right. Did you ever do any spring break stuff like this? I never did.
I don't think so. I don't know. I didn't really go to college. I feel like it's more of a college experience, and I didn't do the whole college thing. So I would say.
I think I went to Mexico. I drove to, oh gosh, I can't remember exactly. San Felipe? No. Anyway, I'm not sure where it was. Somewhere in Baja. And that's about it.
Hey, that's
Camped
all
on the
you
beach
need, right?
like once.
That sounds fun.
So, and then all I could think was Summer was right. Seth does always seem to get himself into trouble. But you know what? Can you blame him? He's just a young man living his life. And, the point is, Jaime King is beautiful, and Mary Sue is it Mary Ellen?
Mary Sue is
Ellen?
Jaime, and Mary Ellen is the grandma.
Oh, okay. I see. I got him mixed up. But yeah, so he's going along with it. He's not even thinking about
Summer.
No. He's not. See, I forgot her name. Jeez.
Not even a thought. But we learned that it's not a dance competition. It's actually a whipped cream contest.
Oh.
Where you have to lick the whipped cream off a bikini-clad lady. So yes, as you were saying, Seth always seems to get himself into trouble. So I like that Ryan's like, have to keep Summer, or does Seth say it? But Ryan calls Marissa to like keep Summer away from the television.
Yeah, I hope she pays her cable bill.
Yeah, exactly. Because we don't know. No, he called her to ask to keep her away from the TV, and she just tells him that Trey got a job and she's going to help him celebrate. That's what happened. They're not celebrating.
But in the meantime, there's Ryan with his finger in his ear and some girl going, "They got disqualified," and she flashes him and then pukes.
Flashes
and Marissa
her
goes,
boobs.
She goes, "That doesn't quite sound like the Nana, does it?"
Yeah. The Nana got a boob
but
job.
she's cool.
Yeah, I know. Marissa's super cool about it. So then we're in Zach's kitchen. He's cooking dinner for Summer. I'm sorry. Him in that chef's hat reminds me of the Swedish chef from the Muppets. You know, you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely, but I thought Chef Boyardee, and then
okay.
when you did that, it was like,
yeah. That's exactly who he reminds me of in this scene.
I mean, in this scene, there's something, all these little touches made me smile because he could just be sitting there as Zach,
No, he has flour all over his face.
Right. And he puts the little hat on and she's like, Ganaki.
Yeah.
And that dress is so cute.
Oh,
do you remember that dress?
I do remember. And I remember we shot this at an actual house. It was a real location. It wasn't on stage. I don't know how I remember that, but I do. And he conveniently puts on the television to pass the time. And sure enough, what's on? Music Video Nation's Spring Break Spectacular.
We don't know what's going to happen there.
No,
anyway.
Nope, can't tell what's going to happen there. Nope, no can do. Just going to have some sweet. Fresh from San Diego, California, comes the only sunglasses brand I'm ever going to wear again. I'm talking about Blenders Eyewear, and you're going to be just as hooked when you see how awesome these shades are. Now, I did a little stint in San Diego myself, so my heart is there, and now my heart are on my eyes with these sunglasses. I just think they are so cool. The Valentine Divine, they're perfect to wear like when you're going on errands or, if you're at the beach, really you can wear them anywhere.
So everyone knows I use readers. So I got a pair of readers and I also got a pair of their polarized sunglasses. Now, I thought the Caribbean waters were epic, but they are way more epic and vivid with polarized glasses. And I love the backstory too. Chase Fisher started Blenders by selling his beauty shades out of a backpack while doubling as a surf instructor on Pacific Beach. His goal, to create an adventurous, mid-priced eyewear option with the same cool factor as other leading styles.
Blenders' team of in-house designers are constantly coming out with new styles, from orange polarized wraparounds, tortoiseshell frames with purple lenses, to classic gold arms on black lens. To score 15% off your Blenders purchase, visit blenderseyewear.com and enter promo code OCVIP.
That's blenderseyewear.com. Code OCVIP for 15% off. Blenders, rocked with pride worldwide. So now we're back in Miami, and Nana is taking Sandy to meet her fiance, Bobby, played by the very talented Tony Dennison. You guys might know him or remember him from The Closer. And then he had his own spinoff to Major Crimes. I've met Tony. I've actually played poker with him. But I love this scene. I just think there's something, I love the Sandy Cohen scenes where he's not just, dealing with Rebecca or Kirsten, to be honest, because he does that super kind of aggressive, passive-aggressive thing with this guy. He's super tan, he's greasy, or he's not greasy, sorry. He's slippery looking. And sure enough, he was like, what does he say? He's like, I asked my FBI friends and my cop friends, they asked me, should I do a background check on him? And he's like, no, Sophie Cohen's still sharp. If she trusts him, I trust him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And sure enough, he gets kind of shifty-eyed and like, zoiks, he's definitely been put on alert by Sandy.
Oh, yeah.
But when we get to Trey's apartment real quick and they're doing the movie Margarita Night, it is the wrong movie to bring The Notebook. Great choice.
But
that's a very sweet choice.
It's a very romantic. I'm a huge Nick Cassavetes fan, so.
Okay, so did you ever force a boyfriend or person in your life to watch that movie? Because I forced Adam to watch it, and he was not. It wasn't. He was not in the mood for a chick flick the way I was. Like, this is so great.
And he wasn't.
No, he would appreciate it now, maybe, but at the time, it just wasn't the right movie.
I think Adam and I saw it together, and Brett. I feel like Brett, because all I can remember is Brett going blue shutters. So I'm pretty sure that we all saw it together. That's
a great impression of Brett. Shredders.
Yeah, he was like blue shutters. Yes, I think that we all saw that together. But yeah, The Notebook. Okay, Marissa. Anyhow.
Yeah. But this song, when we cut back to Miami Beach spring break again, you hear the Gorillas' Kids with Guns. First of all, I love the song, but for some reason, Kids with Guns, Kids with Guns. Whenever I hear
Mhm.
this song, it's also on the OC Mix 5, but it's like, I don't remember that much about music, but I remember this song, and to me, it's just
Wow.
the epitome of the OC.
Yeah,
So
for
it
sure.
played a couple times in this episode. So,
Yes.
yeah, Seth looks pretty nervous about the whole thing,
Now
and
that he knows it's a
he
whipped
doesn't.
cream thing, he's trying to get out of it.
Yeah, and she does a really good job of convincing him.
So then Ryan's getting a thing of water from the bar, and he happens to talk to this dude, a conservative dude, talking about his Bible studies and with his buddies from Bob Jones University. And they're ready to take down whoever's helping his girlfriend.
He's so funny. I looked up this actor, Brian F. Durkin. I don't know, it was one of his first jobs, and I just thought the casting was so good,
Yeah.
and his delivery was so good, and just the dialogue that they gave him it was almost stereotypical, but it was made me laugh out loud,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Very, very stereotypical, but funny. And we
Right,
learn that
right,
Mary Sue is his girlfriend, and he's going to kill whoever is helping her com- do this sin.
right.
And Ryan's like, uh-oh, realizing what's going on. In Trey's apartment, Marissa is very drunk from the margaritas after celebrating. And
She's super drunk. They're
yeah,
playing quarters because she's like, "Look, I thought I could drink, but I keep losing, and whoa, I can't keep up with you." And he's like, "I was all-time drinker Chino," which he says with pride.
yeah,
But but then they say, "Okay, movie time," and then they jump up on the couch, and all I could think, is he gets kind of close to her, but the way they acted this scene, all I could think was Marissa's saying in her intuition something feels off. I don't know if it's predicting or something, but didn't
mm-hmm,
you feel like that in the scene that
absolutely.
she was kind of like she felt like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh, something's off, and that little spidey sense of maybe not feeling safe, or her brain tells her she's had too much to drink, whatever, and then says she has to run outside, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, no problem," while he goes and does a big bump of cocaine there. Oh, yeah, and we forgot to say that he was doing it with Jess.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's how that goes, those 2,
Mm-hmm.
because we hadn't seen them do that before, right?
Right, right. But yeah, so and Seth goes all in on this competition, right?
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, they spray the girls with on their chest and all over their body, and the concept is that they lick the whipped cream, and once the whipped cream is off the body, then they eat the cherry out of the mouth. This was ew. I mean, is this a real thing? Have you seen this before? Or is this something made up?
I mean, all I can think is Varsity Blues with like Ali Larder whipped cream bikini. That's
Yeah.
as far as I can go with it.
Well, so this is where I wanted to give you guys a few notes and a little backstory that Matt Ramsey sent.
We got major blowback because of the whipped cream scene. And he thinks it was because it was right after the Janet Jackson Super Bowl. There was a major clampdown on what we could show. So he remembers having to recut it multiple times to get them to approve it. And then says he also got in trouble because he slipped in because he always slipped in any bad words that were ad-libbed from the cast and kept them in the cut for fun until we locked. This episode in particular had a lot of fucks in it. After we sent this episode to the studio and network, I got a strongly worded email from someone, I think at the network, saying to stop doing that. Haha, I used to have a printout of the email hanging up in my office. I thought it was so cool. Haha, so dumb. That was from Matt. We love Matt. He has great insight into all of these episodes. Okay, we're back at Zach's house. The whipped cream competition plays in the background on the television, and Summer and Zach are enjoying their gnocchi. He goes to get a second plate, and of course, right at that moment he leaves, Summer conveniently looks at the television, and right at that moment, Seth is licking all of the whipped cream off of Mary Sue and takes the cherry from her mouth, which looks like a kiss. And what does Summer do? Immediately responds by leaping out of her chair and attacking Zach's face with her mouth. Yes, kisses Zach, and game on, as they say. She is very perturbed. So we find out that Seth and Mary Sue won the whipped cream competition. I mean, I did still see some whipped cream still on Mary Sue, but we'll let that slide. Ryan runs up to grab Seth to protect him from the Bible study brigade. I mean, it's just so funny. This whole sequence is just ridiculously amazing and funny, and we love it.
So when Bobby didn't show up to dinner, Nana instantly looks at I love his excuse. It was, that he had a malpractice suit. And she's like, "Oh, darling, how long will that take?" And however long that takes, she instantly knows that Sandy said something. So now Sandy's going to apologize to her. And what a beautiful scene. Just she's an amazing actor. But she just looks at him and says, there's a part of me that knew. And this is probably why I wanted you here. And I just didn't want to spend the rest of my life alone. And of course, Sandy says, "Well, I'll come visit you more." And she's like, "No, you've got a family. You've got a family." Um, but yeah, it was a very touching scene, and it elevates the show when we have actors of that caliber. And yeah, I love the Nana. I wish we had had more of her.
Yeah, I agree.
We're now back at the Cohen house. Remember when we talked to Billy about this, and we weren't sure because I kept thinking, they're finishing up this whole time they've been getting more drunk and drunk and drunk, and they're, touching hands, opening the bottle of wine. And finally she confesses that she didn't actually make the delicious meal. And he says he has a confession that he didn't want to leave because of her. And what do?
They kiss.
And that was a kiss. Like, that was a serious kiss. It
Yeah.
wasn't just a goodbye kiss, right?
I felt it.
Now there was the weight of what's going on in Kirsten's head, and she's emotionally attached, and what she was missing from her relationship with Sandy. And oh my God. And I was like, that woman just needed to be kissed.
Yeah.
So that she could say, "Okay, see ya, bye."
Yeah, although did she really want to say, "Okay, see you, bye," after that kiss? I don't think so.
No. Instead, she pulls out the vodka and does a heavy pour.
Mm-hmm.
Darn girl. She's like, downs that thing.
She ain't messing around.
Trouble.
Okay,
Trouble.
so now we're getting to the scene on the beach with Trey.
Yeah, these two last scenes are kind of heavy.
And Marissa. Yeah, this was hard to watch. So obviously Marissa needed air because she was drunk, and they're out on the beach. And honestly, the acting in this scene, like Logan, like howl with me, and like how Misha / Marissa reacts to like howling. She's like, "I'm not much of a howler." Like, it's so real because like, how awkward you feel if someone's like howl and you're like, "Oh," like it's just that realness in that moment. I just commend them both.
Yeah, this scene in particular, after I watched the episode, first of all, you're exactly right. The acting was incredible, and the editing was so powerful, and that's what made me reach out to Matt. But it hit me so hard because, first of all, he does this. Is it alcohol and the bump of and then the fact that he's on cocaine, saying, "I can do anything when I'm with you." But the moment he grabs onto her and grabs her like her midsection, and there's not a single thing that she does that would encourage that from the get-go. It's a big no. And it just goes further and further and further. And then there's this shot where they slam onto the sand, and it was
hard.
so violent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so jarring. And they just gave these amazing, fearless performances. And I mean, between Kirsten and the Marissa Trey scene, I think these are the two darkest storylines of the entire series. And in the subsequent episodes, we'll look into the aftermath of something like this and what it does. I don't want to get into all of that now, but it did make me kind of think about everything that the creators have had to do to this character, that the Marissa character was victimized time and time again. And it was she really did not have an easy road, the character. It was, I mean, between the ODing and their parents, and there's just this, she's just swimming in a world of loss and grief and trauma.
It's
like every day.
Yeah, it's brutal. And he is, physically attacking her. And she finally finds a piece of driftwood and whacks the shit out of him to get him to stop. That was The whole scene, though, it's just heavy even talking about it because anytime you see anything like this or think about anything like this, it's just really disturbing. But again, we have to give it to the actors in this because they really sold it, and it was hard to watch.
Right. But of course, she runs away. She gets away, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And that phone is ringing, and he sits up, and he's got this huge red crimson wound on his forehead, and the phone rings. He sees that it's Ryan. I guess there's a caller ID, and he just sits there, and all I could think is, you are irredeemable, you miserable fuck. And
What
you're
have I
fucked.
done?
Or he says, I'm totally fucked. He knows it.
Yeah. How could you not
went
be?
too far. How could you not
way
be?
too far.
There's nothing. And so then, of course, I saw that there was a quote that Stephanie Savage said that as a rule, she and Josh made sure that in the writing that Marissa and Ryan never had it easy.
Right.
And that's what, the melodrama of this show encompasses. So
yeah.
Of course, then on the other side, as that right before that happened, this happens, and then you cut to Ryan and Seth. We don't know exactly what happened, but we know that he's covered in whipped cream head to toe.
Yes. And Josh commented he remembers Brody completely covered in whipped cream just walking the streets of South Beach in Miami while we were shooting this, just covered in whipped cream for hours.
It must have, if it was in the heat, well, it was at night, but that would have gotten a little, I wonder if it was real whipped cream. We should have asked Cindy about that.
I think it was shaving cream. I feel like it was shaving cream.
Probably. Yeah, because you wouldn't want dairy going bad.
I just think, I think shaving cream holds up better. And if I remember correctly, I think it was shaving cream. I was either at the club or I was in the suite, so I don't know. But I'm guessing it was shaving cream. Yeah, but that's our episode, and it ends on a very heavy note. Today's guest is a very dear friend, going back 15 plus years, probably, maybe more. I can't do the math. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
But not only is she one of the most beautiful people, both inside and out, she's an incredibly talented actress. I was lucky enough to work alongside her for 4 seasons on Hart of Dixie. She was Miss Lemon Breland. She started her career as a top model on the runways of Chanel, Alexander McQueen, Dior. No big deal. Just to
We
name a
cruised
few.
a lot of Chanel events together.
We have, over the years, for sure. And then followed by impressive roles in projects like Pearl Harbor, Sin City, Blow, Spirit. Her most recent series, Black Summer, which you were also a producer on, right?
Yes.
For Netflix. Anyway, the list goes on and on. I could never name them all, but everyone please welcome my gorgeous friend, Jaime King.
Thank you. I love you. I'm so happy to be here.
We're
Thanks
so
for being
happy
here.
to have you here.
It feels like home.
Good. Well, it should, because we're like family.
We are like family.
Yes, absolutely. We have spent a lot of time together. And I've been waiting for us to get to this episode because you're in it. And I was so excited for you to come and talk to us on the podcast.
It's so crazy. What year was this at?
Was it 2005?
It was May 2005, yes.
2005.
I keep forgetting what year it is now.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what did I say? 15 plus years that
I think we lost 2 years in the pandemic.
Yeah, we have for sure.
So it's 20. So
2000.
I'm not good. Oh my God, we can't do math anymore.
17 years?
17 years?
17 years. 17 years.
I was enamored with you.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, when you came on the scene, James King, right? You went by James and I remember Josh Schwartz telling me the first time he ever saw you, he was like, that's the most gorgeous person I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God.
I know. And I was like, yeah.
That's
you.
very kind.
Well, you were just so shocking. You still are shockingly beautiful, but just you came on to the scene so fierce, so full force, like this flame of it was just insane. And what a time for you, because you started modeling very young.
Really young.
Yeah.
Very young.
And
like 14.
Right.
Yeah.
14. And you're from Nebraska.
Yes.
Omaha.
Yes. Yes.
And starting that young, I'm sure you grew up really fast, but it was like you were put into all of it.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. growing up in Nebraska, I was always very artistic, and it felt like the outside of me didn't match the inside of me, and I always knew I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I had read in the local newspaper, that if you went to a modeling school, then you could meet people from big cities. And I was so obsessed with film and fashion and art, and I was like, oh, okay. And remember, at that time, there's no internet, so I was like, oh, okay, if I get to a big city, that's going to be my opportunity to do what I want to do. And so I convinced my parents to let me go to this modeling school where they gave me like Amy Vanderbilt's book of etiquette, and you learn like forks and how to file now I have anxiety even when I file my nails because like you have to do it a particular way.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I went to New York with my mother and went to go back to school in Nebraska. But that summer, there was just something that hit, and thank God for like a Kate Moss, right? Because I wasn't tall enough. And before you had to be like 5'10", 5'11", and because of Kate was smaller, she's 5'7", that was really like the summer where things were popping off for petite girls. Not as petite as your feet, which every time in a vintage store, I'm like, oh, this is for Bilson. Oh, these are Bilson size.
Yeah, no, you are still very tall, I would say. Well, I guess because I'm looking from down here, everything's tall to me, but I mean, come on now. But that's so interesting. So that's what kind of got you.
Yeah. I was really lucky, blessed, I guess, where it was kind of an immediate thing. And back then in fashion, it was like, there was a small select group, you know what I mean? Where it was like still like the time of the supermodel kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was determined to save my money and learn everything that I could from the designers and the ateliers and the artists, and then go into acting. And I said I was retiring at the age of, I barely 18. And they thought I was loco. Like, they're like, what are you talking about? You're going to go, like, do movies? You're going to direct movies, write movies, like, that didn't, because remember then, like, there were no multi-hyphenates.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like you could be, like, an actor, a model,
Sure.
a this, or it was like you were either a TV actor or a film actor or
Right.
a singer. And there was a filmmaker, Daniel Waters, who wrote Heathers, one of my favorite films.
Oh, yeah.
And he had seen a picture of me, and I got to audition for his film, and that was my first film, and so on and so on and so on. And I remember when we first met, I was like so excited. I was very nervous though.
What?
To meet you.
To meet me?
Oh yeah.
What are you talking about?
Because I felt like we were immediately, I already knew we were kindred spirits because I was wearing like Chanel on the carpet. And like when Chanel on a carpet wasn't cool because it was like still like technically kind of like old lady-ish.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, then I saw like, I was like, when, I mean, you like shot, like you were, I mean, everywhere, right? And I remember seeing your style and I was like, that's a girl of my own heart.
Aw.
Like, because you were doing that. And I was like, she's interesting. She's cool, And then when I flew down there, I think the first time we met was in the hotel room.
In Miami.
In Miami.
Right, because I got myself there even though I wasn't in the episode.
Exactly. Right? Didn't you come as like a guest or a tourist, or did you just tell Jay like?
No,
you're like
I was a club promoter. Like I was promoting a club. Like they said I was going to be at a club, so I got
amazing.
to Miami.
So amazing.
Yeah.
And we met, and I was like, oh God, she's so beautiful. And then I remember there was one time we went out, like shortly after that in Los Angeles, and you took me to, what is the place on Fairfax?
Canner's Deli?
And you got blintzes.
Yep.
With applesauce. I know
I can't believe you remember that.
I remember all of it. Of course I do.
Oh my God, yeah. So Cantor's, Schwartz, and Adam Brody and all of us, we frequenting Cantor's like all the time. And the cheese blintzes, man, my half Jewish heart just love me a blintz, and they make really good ones. That is hilarious that you remember that.
I think I know all of your favorite snacks.
You probably do, because like I said, I mean, 4 years on a show together. As you know, Mindy, when you work on these episodics with people, you get to know them inside and out, and that includes blintzes.
Yes. And sunflower seeds.
And sunflower seeds.
Jamie, I think I only got to meet you actually at the wrap party.
Yes.
And you were the kindest, most beautiful, energetic, and I could see that you were going to be a star, or you already were a star. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
But I just remember you being just so gracious, and that was probably the first and only time I got to see you in person.
I know.
And
Thank
so
you.
thank you.
Thank
You know,
you.
I was so geeked out to meet you because I was such a fan. Like I said, when you came on the scene, it was like, holy shit, like this force. And meeting you and you being a part of the show was so exciting. And obviously, we have gone on years and years, but it was just the coolest thing to have you. And how the OC came about. Do you remember like getting the call or how it
Yeah.
happened?
That was the first time I ever said yes to anything for television.
Really?
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's because I wanted to chill with you. No, for real, because there's something, it's iconic, and it's like,
Hmm.
a group of really amazing actors, and, Josh and Stephanie, it's like it, it's like part of the lexicon and it will be forever. And I got the call and they asked if I would guest star, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. That's going to be so much fun. But that was the first time I ever chose to do television. And I'm
Wow.
so glad.
I'm so glad you did.
And then we got to spend so much time on Heart of Dixie,
I know.
which is the best.
The best, I know. I
God,
miss
I miss it so much.
I know, I always
Can
say
we
that.
please remake it?
You're
Just
like,
putting it
anyone
out there.
listening?
Lila, Josh, Seth.
Do fans ever remember you from this role?
People do. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
How funny. But your accent is so on point, and obviously you have a southern like as Lemon on Heart of Dixie, but I was like, oh my God, there she goes again. Just little
That part was trippy because I forgot that I did a southern accent on that. And on Heart of Dixie, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I was playing around with different types of southern accents the first week. And at one point, I was like, okay, dial it back a little bit. Because I was like, maybe I can do All About Eve. But it was kind of funny. Like, it was sort of like, it felt like when I was rewatching, I was like, wow, that was a precursor to Lemon,
Yeah. But I have always learned so much from you. Now, Mindy, I remember like when we were on set, Jamie would have the scripts like completely broken down, her notes in every margin, and like you would do this thing, and you said it was something that Martin Scorsese taught. What was it again?
Vocabulary of emotions.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So it's inserting, essentially, you have an entire sheet, an entire list of very specific adjectives to describe, each word or experience within the intent of each line. And so with Lemon, in order to create this sort of, I wanted her to be very lyrical, and I wanted her juxtaposition to allow your character to shine, that we would have this sort of musicality together, because I really paid attention to the rhythms of your speech and how, you approach the craft and things like that. And you're so freaking funny. And so it was like, how do I set it up in a way where when Rach hits like a punchline that she's gonna like, like it'll kick off because I'll be on a lower note and I'll be on a higher note, she'll be on a lower note, and it'll add like a period to the scene kind of thing. But the vocabulary of emotions is putting a very, like, with each sentence, like, elation. So then you go into that elation. So you're hooked into that very specific feeling. So it creates, all of this nuance, Although I did feel like I dug myself into a hole because I ended up with because I would speak with that fast cadence, and then I get the pages and I'd be like, 5 million lines per episode.
Right. Right. But yeah, you were always so prepared. And I think, Mindy, you and Jamie are similar in that, like, breaking it down, being super prepared, and just giving these amazing performances, where I obviously work a little opposite to a fault.
No, but you taught me a lot, though. You taught me a lot. I don't know if if this was the exact words that you said, but something about like television being a marathon, not a sprint, and your grace. Because again, yeah, I'd never been on any 22 episode series. I didn't know how to approach it any other way other than like doing, a film, and I'm from the actors studio, so it's very much like this kind of process. And I learned so much about your endurance and your tolerance and like you taking care of you and your your capacity to have fun in the way that you would engage with the crew and cast and it taught me like that if God forbid we got new pages like the night before I didn't have to freak out. Like it's gonna be okay
Mhm.
if something's not highlighted and doesn't have 5 million notes because
Mhm.
I'm so meticulous that way. And so I really learned so much from you as a leader and as an actor.
I know there's such a huge delay, so I apologize. That's why I'm kind of slowly listening here. But I think one of the wonderful things about episodic television is that what you're speaking about, Jamie, that when you're doing, a movie for only a few months, that having that preparation and breaking down and having the script breakdown and your character breakdown is really important. But when you do something for 4 seasons or 10 months at a time, you get to know the character so well that we're not doing all of that character development all the time, or at least that's what I found. Once you're into it for a season or two, things become, that character so well that um, if we get to discover things about the character in season 3 and 4 that we hadn't before, those are just icings on the cake. But it's doing a character that repetitively for so long can be such a joy because you get to know that character and get to flesh it out so much more than just in a few months. I don't know if
Yes,
you found it
absolutely.
similar. Yeah.
It's so enriching. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
that was truly one of the best experiences of my life. And as we grow and change as human beings, as actors ourselves, um, there's emerging with the character. And
Mhm.
so that has to be applicable because it's not like you're just playing a character or you just know a character. So many elements of that character is you and also what's on the page. And so it was really a gift. We had so much fun.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
fun's definitely the word to use
Right?
when we talk about that. Yeah.
I always felt like people thought I was super uptight.
What do you mean?
Like, I was like, "Oh god," with all the notes and the this and the that, and I'd be so like I was like, "Do they think I'm a crazy person?" But I learned to let go, and that's the joy of the craft of acting and, is the constant opportunity to move into the mastery of it and also just be present in the moment of it and be free in it.
Right.
And that's one thing, like, I love watching you, is your freedom.
Oh god.
You
No.
know, so much of that preparation allows you to let go.
That's the
If
whole
I can
point.
be completely yeah, if I can be so prepared that I don't have to think about that dialogue, then I can be in that moment.
Right.
So,
Exactly, that's the whole reason for me in terms of the process of preparation.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? What is the greatest advice you've ever been given, and what is the greatest advice you can give?
Oof. In what area?
Any?
Well, you've had a very, you've had quite a journey from, I watched some of your interviews and you talk very deeply and passionately about, modeling at such a young age. But then you have a journey that we all learn from, and your journey has taught you quite a bit. And do you have any advice or things that have been taught to you that you could share?
I mean, there's a couple of different pieces. Um, Take care of yourself so you can take care of others. Don't hurt yourself, don't hurt others, and be of service to yourself so you can be of service to others. And it seems sort of rudimentary, but when you really look at it and the truth of that, I mean, it comes back to everything that we're learning nowadays when we talk about boundaries and this and that and the other. It's like, okay, how do we take care of ourselves? Because if we're not doing that, then we can't take care of other people. How are we hurting ourselves? What does that look like? Are we not? It's all like everything internally is a reflection externally, in our interpersonal relationships and how we relate to the world in every single facet. Um, so that is, to me, one of the fundamental keys that I do my best to adhere to. Um, and the other piece of advice that resonates with me a lot is look for the good and the divine in all people and all things and leave the rest up to God or to the universe or whatever it is that you believe in. Just keep looking for the goodness and for the gifts within each situation, especially now in these times where we've experienced so much global trauma and you know, very traumatic pandemic.
Yeah.
So let's just keep looking for the goodness.
Yeah, and if we all can just think of that more.
But it ain't
right?
easy.
No, it is
It's
not
not
easy.
easy. That's why it's like these core things. Because if it's simple and it's like there's a saying, "Kiss, keep it simple,
Yeah.
stupid." It's like if I can just like it's simple, but those are anchors for me because it's so hard. It's so hard sometimes,
Yeah, for sure.
How do you balance motherhood with all of it as well? Rachel and I talk about this.
We
It's
talk
a
about
theme
it a
with
lot.
us.
You do your best. You just do your best. I mean, it'd be really nice, like, for me to be able to give, like, all these, like, great, like, bullet points of, like, how to be a fantastic parent. It just doesn't work like that, It's, I mean, every day is a completely new day, and, I know, I mean, Rach and I both really, really love our children and really wanted to be mothers and, have unique experiences as raising our children. And I think that it's a lot of tenderness and gentleness is required, where, with what we do, it's very different than a lot of other people. So our hours are different. The way our lives are led are very different. The way that people perceive us is very different. But it's still applicable kind of to everyone. I know this may sound like a bunch of mishmash, but it's like I think every parent feels some kind of like aching guilt of like not doing things perfectly. And I think that the more we put out in the media that there's some kind of formula for a perfect, happy life as a parent or for your children is a disservice to other parents. You know, we're all just trying to get our kids to school on time. We're all trying to like make sure they ate enough and
Right.
and that we do, it's like all these like
Yeah.
it's life, and life is beautiful and messy and gorgeous and everything in between. And the beauty of children is that it's a consistent reminder that of what it means to be present. So whilst
Right.
we're like 10 million miles into the future or like getting pulled in energetically by emails or this or that or the other, it's like when we can really step back and like when I watch my kids, I'm just like, whoa, man, there's just not enough. When we hear not enough time, it's like, how can I create meaningful memories? That's really like what I've been thinking a lot about. How do I create meaningful memories with my children? Given the fact that I'm a single working mother, and I want to have these moments, and I think that if you can get even if it's 1 hour of time just fully present with them, that is so much more meaningful than trying to juggle, working at home and this and that and the other because they know the difference.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, it's very concise in my mind
Yeah.
because that's exactly we have to normalize messy. No, there's no
Yes.
such thing as perfection.
Yes.
Right.
It's that right. Life isn't problems, it's just full of solutions in moment to moment.
Yeah, and that's all we're doing. That's all we're doing is trying to solve problems all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah. And doing our best our best can change at any moment.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it's
Oh.
always going to be the same every time.
1000%. But I was going to say, Jamie had her first baby, her son, while we were shooting Heart of Dixie and had to come back to work, I think 6 weeks after you had him.
Yep.
She had a 6-week-old baby with her at work in her trailer, leaving to pump, to breastfeed, like all of it.
Yeah.
And juggling her role as Lemon. And watching that, I was like, holy shit, I could never do that. Like, I could never do that.
But yet you did, didn't you?
No, I was pregnant on Heart of Dixie up until 37 weeks, and I had Briar right after we wrapped the 4th season.
Yeah. You had a very keen and astute awareness to yourself because what you just said, you said to me, that kind of sentiment, because I shot until the day I gave birth. So until the day before I gave birth was in labor for 26 hours. And yeah, came back at exactly 6 weeks. Your cervix isn't even freaking closed, guys. It's archaic. And that's not on anyone having to do with the show. That's just literally the laws of, this country. And I was so lucky to be coming back to a place that was real family, and to be able to do what I love. Uh, and, to have these mother figures on set, Rachel and Joni and, all these women that have deeply and will forever impact my life because they were part of my journey, and I had tried several times to have children whilst on the show and went through many miscarriages and things like that. And uh, essentially, was going through that process as we were making the show very silently. Um, and those those times on the set where I would see crew members holding my child, literally makes me want to cry because I was able to keep, you know, working for my children's future and fulfilling my commitment and knowing that nobody would let anything happen to that kid.
Mhm.
Nobody would let anything happen to James Knight.
Mhm.
He was the youngest to be sorted by a sorting hat at Warner Brothers. That was pretty cool too. But I remember when you got pregnant. I mean, it was so challenging and also comedic. Remember when was getting bigger and we'd come to this set and they'd have a table to hear, and
Well,
I'm like,
because,
guys, what
yeah.
is this, SNL?
They hid her pregnancy. Like, her character wasn't pregnant on the show, so they had to hide it the whole time.
And I kept going to preterm labor because it was freaking hot. It was 112 degrees.
They had you carrying massive purses and
flowers and hiding behind things. But
Yes.
when you got pregnant, the one thing, that's another thing that you really taught me was something about really standing up for yourself. And I think I'd said something like, oh, well, we could still do the show and you can do it. And you're like, I can't. I'm not. It was something like, I'm not built not built. There was something about strength. I don't have the strength to do that. I don't want to, I saw what you went through and I don't want that.
Right.
And it was so beautiful, because I didn't really know that I had a choice.
Right.
And, you know, I guess I didn't come from a lot of money, and as a kid, and there's always that thing as an actor where we always feel like, oh, you can't make a mistake and you have to keep showing up and whatever they say, you got to do. And I really learned so much about that and really deeply respect you for understanding what worked for you in that time and in that moment. And especially, we had such such a wildly successful show. And I'm so thankful you got to have, you didn't have to worry about a 10-minute warning with someone knocking on your door while you're trying to breastfeed and your milk is drying up and you know what I mean? You're not sleeping and all this stuff. And that we get to have these glorious experiences in different ways. When I got pregnant, I was that's all I ever wanted. And then I had a very distinct feeling that it was going to be met with not the same kind of joy uh, by certain people that are our bosses, were our bosses, and not because they don't love or care about us or me, or that they wouldn't be happy, but because of the nature of the studio system, the nature of Hollywood is one where everyone, I think, is a lot of the times afraid because everyone has a boss above them, above them, above them. It is this kind of incessant pressure that is untenable at times. And I remember calling my agent, Leslie, and I was like, I think this is going to be a problem. And she was like, what are you talking about? Messing and, Deborah Messing, Kerry Washington, Busy Phillips, da, 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 naming every single person. She's like, I've never had an issue with this before, never had an issue with this before. It became an issue. It became an issue where they did not want to pay me for any episodes that I would miss to give birth for James Knight. And my lawyers were freaking out because they had never seen that. Everything before had been done on good faith. So nothing had been technically written in a contract. Oh, we're going to, pay you for your episodes that you miss, for those 6 weeks or whatever, however many that it takes. And so I was already like thinking like a filmmaker. I was like, okay, we can get a waiver from the DGA. We can pre-shoot this. So that way, she's not going to be off air for X many episodes. It'll already be in the can. It'll all work out. And, there there was just a lot of fear around it. And so then it became kind of like, this is very candid, became sort of like a game of chess where it was like, okay, well, we'll pay you for 1 episode or we'll pay you for 2. And so it was this negotiation. And then I agreed to come back by a particular date. And if I did not come back by that particular date, essentially I would be having to, it'd be like a fine, a very expensive fine.
Definitely not easy decisions, as we've discussed at length, actually, because Mindy, had a daughter who was 3 when she was on the OC shooting.
I mean, what you miss, there's so much that to be missed, but yet we still need to work, And again, it's the psyche, I think, of an actor, that it's like this idea that if you don't say yes, or if you stand up for yourself, then it's all going to fall apart. And now I know very differently.
Right.
But that's a learned process. What was that like for you?
First of all, I just want to say thank you for sharing that. I think that's fantastic because, yes, women have been treated differently in every industry across the world. And I never knew that something that you were a part of maybe has changed the industry. And I'm just so excited to hear that.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I wasn't number 1 on the call sheet. My daughter was 3. She was already in preschool. And the OC was like the perfect time in my life because, I mean, I hate to say it, but sometimes going to work was the respite from from domestic life. But I breastfed her once on a guest spot that I did, and it was one of the hardest days. Oh, and I was pumping, and this child, because I was demand feeding, but I was pumping. So it was the first time that she was not getting the breast. And after that day, she never took a bottle again. She went straight to a sippy cup.
Yep.
But no, I mean, it's people like you that have the guts to do that, to change or create a precedent that are so important in an industry that kind of plays by its own rules,
Right.
Yeah.
But that being said, guys, I want you to continue talking. I literally have a heart out because I have 2 scenes that I have to go shoot so I can fly home tomorrow. But
Yes.
Jamie, I had to share this quick little thing because I heard the story that you're named after Lindsay Wagner's character in The Bionic Woman, Jamie
Yes.
Summers.
Yes.
And in 1977, I was on vacation when I was like 8 years old in Hawaii, and I saw this. I swam out to the little platform in Hawaii, and there was this bronze goddess there wearing a belly chain, and it was Lindsay Wagner. And I've looked up to her my whole life.
That's
and
crazy.
It was 2
My
years
mom's
before
gonna
you were
freak out
born.
when I tell her
and
that story.
and I, for the rest of my life, I always bought a belly chain to look like the Bionic Woman.
Oh my
and,
God.
I thought it was so cute that you're named after Lindsay Wagner's Bionic
Oh my
Woman.
God, I love that story. My mom's gonna be so excited. She was her favorite.
Well, Mindy,
Oh
go
my gosh.
kick ass.
Mindy,
get
we
home
love you.
safe.
Break a
love
leg.
you.
Oh.
Come home.
Yes.
I'd love to. Congrats on your children and being the incredible woman you are. And I always really love to research our guests, and you're just super inspiring.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And it's an honor to talk to you. And I'd love to give you a hug in person one day. And I'm sorry that I'm not there. So
We'll
I
do
have
it
to go.
soon. I would love
Bye.
that.
Love you,
Thanks so much.
Mindy.
Love you.
Hi guys, I'm a huge fan of the OC and of course Hart of Dixie as well. I've watched both so many times and I'm obsessed with your acting, both of you, and Melinda as well. So I have a question for Jamie. I just wanted to ask, you probably get this a lot, but how did you manage and train to be able to have that Southern accent? And was it difficult did you have to start speaking like that in that accent always, or did you manage to kind of break in and out of it depending on when they started filming? Thank you so much, and I love you so much, guys.
Aww, I love you.
So sweet.
Oh my God, the sound of her voice is so nice. The Southern accent for Hart of Dixie?
Yeah.
I specialize in dialects. I'm obsessed with them. with Lemon, it's like it was Georgia, Alabama. Like it was sort of nebulous, because we were living in a fictional place
Bluebell.
in Bluebell, the best place ever. I wish we could go chill on the gazebo right now and get some froyo. But with Lemon, I researched a lot of different dialects. I had to decide whether I had to make a decision. Dialects change depending on, okay, where are the parents from? Is one parent from, one state, another parent from a different state? What does the blending of that look like? What would be accessible given the demographic of the audience? There's such a musicality and a language to Southern accents, and it's very specific. So it's also like, to me, Lemon was very, as reverent towards the traditions that she grew up in. And so it's the same thing with anyone in the South. They all have very different accents, East Texas versus, New Orleans versus yada yada. So I watched a lot of different films and tried a bunch of stuff out when we would rehearse and when we started shooting to see when it was too specific or not too specific. Like I said, that was that sort of like all about Eve thing. And I was like, let me go real far. But what's interesting about it is that first of all, my mouth would hurt all the time in the beginning because they throw everything into the front of their mouth, right? And then you want to speak, like you want to have a real rhythm to it, but it's a way of speaking real quick and slow at the same time. And so you're throwing it to the front of your mouth. And what's strange is that it almost like it felt like it reformed the way that I speak. So after Hart of Dixie, anytime I would pick up a freaking side or a script, I'd hear it in Southern, like and specifically Lemon's voice.
Right.
And so I'd have to be like really careful because I would start to talk. The minute I held a piece of paper, there was like a sense memory thing where I picked up a side or a script and it was like, immediately going into Lemon, and I was like, oh God, it was a really hard habit to break.
Yeah.
But it was very, very, very fun to do.
You did it amazing. I was always so impressed with your accent.
Oh,
even watching it in the episode of the OC, I was like, damn, like it's something you can just do. It's very impressive.
Thank you.
All right, let's hear the next one.
Hi, I'm Luke from Wiltshire in the southwest of England. My question's for Jaime King. I wonder, who has been the funniest actor or actress you've had the pleasure of working with? Really enjoyed you in Sin City and Bulletproof Monk. Absolutely love that film. But yeah, who's been the ones that make you laugh?
Oh my gosh.
God,
that's a really good freaking question.
So many. I mean, you have worked with everybody.
Oh my God. That's Luke is his name, right?
Yeah.
Luke, that's such a good question. Okay, I'm just gonna try and think in order of like history of when I started to. Okay, Jason Schwartzman. Like I learned so much from Jason Schwartzman when we did Slackers together. He is one of the funniest people that I've ever worked with. I'm thinking again like in timelines of like films I've done, because it's just easier for me to do it that way. I mean, the Wayans brothers, absolutely. Like
right.
you're dying.
That was White Chicks, right?
For White Chicks,
yeah.
like dead, dying on the floor. Eugene Levy. We did Cheaper by the Dozen together, and Steve Martin. I mean, those guys are like freaking legends.
It's a lot.
I'm trying to think of like, those times where you can't stop. Honestly, in terms of female comedians, Rachel for sure. Rachel has an extraordinary penchant for brilliant comedic timing. Like really brilliant comedic timing.
Aw,
and
thanks,
you're not
Jamie.
expecting it. And so that's what kept it so fun because it always was like, felt like we were like in the scene, like in a verbal fisticuff. And I never knew what you were going to do. And so it was so hard sometimes to like just not like burst.
We
into-
broke a lot.
We broke a lot.
Yeah.
We broke a lot. I'm trying to think of the other. It's interesting how like there's more male comedians that you get to work with than so many women aren't cast like in really freaking funny roles. And
Hopefully that's changing. I feel like
I think
there's
it's
a lot of
changing
women
now.
that are
Now, but like for a while it was like they're the more the straight person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who else.
That was a really good list.
That's a great list. Yeah.
Hi, Jamie and Rachel. Love you guys from Heart of Dixie. Just wondering if you guys would ever consider doing a reunion. We would love to see where everyone is at right now.
We're like, yes.
Yes.
The answer
absolutely.
is yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd give anything for that show to be going again.
Anything.
I mean,
anything.
Working at home.
Anything.
The best cast and crew. We had the best time. I loved my character, your character. I mean, we had amazing.
Best.
It was the best.
It was truly one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah.
I literally mark my life by those years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like I have chills like thinking about
Just
it.
pivotal time all around.
Yes.
But yes, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Hey, Rachel and Jamie. This is Sam Schweikert, your set PA for season 2 of Heart of Dixie.
Sam.
Not really a question, but mostly just wanted to say that working with you all was such an unbelievable experience. And watching both of you work and the opportunities that I had, particularly on that set, and even the singular opportunity that I had to act in one of the episodes was certainly part of the tipping point that led me to pursue acting. So I really just wanted to give a thanks to both of you, because seeing you all work and put in the time and the effort and dedication that you did on that show, and also the fun that you had making that, really is kind of truly what inspired me to have that be my own path and to pursue that exact same dream. So just wanted to thank you guys and send you both the best.
Aww, I want to cry.
That is so sweet.
Sam, you're the best. We love you so much.
That is so, aw, man.
Sam,
Shucks, guys. Yes. Thank you, Sam, for
we love you, Sam.
putting up with us. And
I mean, for real. And for always being like dedicated. Even like to this day, he's always like, I can see like you're like, he's always on top. He's just so loving and so supportive. Oh my God, that makes me really emotional.
That was so sweet.
Can we all go back to Warner Brothers?
Let's go back to Bluebell, y'all.
Can we go back to Bluebell?
Old-timey banjo music. Whatever.
Wait, what did you say? There's one blooper where you're like,
oh yeah, banjo.
You didn't say cute. What was it?
Something. We'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bloopers.
There was.
Thank you, Jamie, for
I love you so
making
much.
the time. Love you so much for coming here and talking. And let's make Heart of Dixie happen.
Can we please?
Yes.
Yes.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you so much for listening. Follow, rate, and review. Welcome to the OC Bitches, wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you like to watch us, check it out on YouTube. Have a safe trip home, Mindy.
Bye, bitches. I'm coming home tomorrow.
Yay!
Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to start with the pilot episode and catch all of our episode recaps.